Hey bitches, this is Morgan.
Hey bitches, this is Sierra.
And this is Bitches and Murders. 2 in a row!
We're doing it.
Woo!
All right, we don't have any housekeeping, so just jump in this, Morgan.
Let's
go ham.
This one's near and dear to my heart, and you'll find out really soon. So this is Harold Shipman.
Oh, no.
He's English, so for once, I can say all of the names. So look at me go. He was born in Nottingham, England.
Okay.
Guess when?
When?
He was born on my birthday.
Oh, no.
We're birthday twins. January 14th of 1946.
Hopefully that's all you have in common.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to go on a limb and say yes.
Okay.
And first of all, before we get into this episode, I just want to say that I have slaved over this episode. I read a 165-page clinical audit of 24 years of Harold Shipman's career.
Oh, shit.
And
okay, you went ham.
Before we get into it, I'm just going to read you this little quote.
Okay. I'm ready.
Little quote.
Hit me with it.
It's really hard to pick up an iPad. Okay.
Hit me with your best shot.
So this is from Professor Liam Donaldson, who was the chief medical officer that kind of like oversaw this whole thing. And this is just the end of his little like excerpt that he put in the beginning of the clinical audit, but it got me a little bit. It says, everything points to the fact that a doctor with the sinister and macabre motivation of Harold Shipman is a once-in-a-lifetime occurrence. That does not mean we should dismiss the need for action beyond the investigation of the events themselves. There is much more to learn from this tragedy. The first duty of a health service is to protect patients from harm. This report is a vital step in that process. It just got me a little bit. So if that's a little hint of what's to come.
Why do you do this to me?
I just enjoy it so much.
I know. Okay, with the exception of like the last one and the next one, I just present you with like general spooks, and you're just like, how about I just fuck your whole day up?
I mean, that's why I'm here.
All right, let's go.
I'm the murders half of Bitches and Murders. Didn't you know that? You're the bitch, I'm the murder.
And together,
Bitches and Murders.
roll credits.
roll credits. We're done.
Okay, hit me with it.
Born
All right.
on my birthday,
Yep.
January 14th, 1946, Nottingham, England.
Okay.
On the Bestwood Council estate, whatever the fuck that means.
Okay. Not the worst wood, the best wood.
The best wood. I think it kind of
The
sounded
worst
like they
joke
were
I've made.
sort of wealthy,
Sort
but
of wealthy?
maybe. He was the second of 3 children of Harold Frederick Shipman, who was a lorry driver, so like a taxi driver.
Okay.
But yeah, a taxi driver, and Vera Britton, both of which were extremely devout Methodists. So it was like a very religious household.
Okay.
He was a highly skilled rugby player and a distance runner.
Okay.
So very athletic.
Right. So this is all too happy, and I'm just waiting for you to give me the like.
Oh, it's happy for quite a while, actually.
Oh.
So we have some, good feels, and we never
feels.
have good feels. So, here we go.
Oh no.
He was particularly close to his mother, who passed away when he was 17. She died of lung cancer. And that was kind of one of the things that kind of like inspired him to be a doctor, I think, is kind of what I've gotten, is he was kind of like, he just kind of helplessly watched his mother pass away at a young age. And like, he wanted to be able to help others. Sort of.
Sort of.
So her death ended up very similar to his signature later on.
Okay.
We'll get to that. We're not going to worry about that right now.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so November 5th of 1996, also the year I was born. Weird. He married Primrose May Oxtoby at 19.
Formal petition to change my name to that.
I know. I love the name Primrose. I don't really like the name Oxtoby, though.
Oxtoby.
So he was 19 and she was 17.
Okay.
It's also weird for me to think about the fact that he was only 19 when I was born. So,
Yeah.
like, we're not that
I don't
far
like that.
apart. And we also were born on the same day. Birthday twins. And they had 4 children together.
Oh, okay.
I don't have their names, but there's 4 of them.
This is so happy. When does it go bad?
Oh, just wait. So they studied medicine at the Leeds School of Medicine. He graduated in 1970.
Okay.
He started working at the Pontefract General Infirmary in Yorkshire.
Okay.
In 1974, he took his first position to be a general practitioner at the Abraham Ormerod Medical Center in West Yorkshire.
I'm so proud of you for making it through that.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't think that was going to happen.
I just want to say that I'm so nervous and I'm so on edge right now because this has been so happy. Like, usually when we talk about serial killers, it's like their childhood is fucked. They were abused. They had the S&M thing.
I'm only going to give you one hint. Do you want just one hint of what comes?
So happy. No.
Okay.
I want to be shocked like everybody else.
No
hints. I just want you to know that I'm so nervous and on edge right now because this is too happy.
Okay, so it gets a little less happy, but not in the way you're thinking.
Okay.
So in 1975, he was caught forging prescriptions for Demerol for his own use. And Demerol, for those you don't know, is it's just like a painkiller. It's like an opiate.
It's like a
morphine, Dilaudid. It's like that kind of thing.
Family.
He was fined 600 pounds. So around $1,100 for us now.
Okay.
Which is,
I mean, that's
not shit for a doctor who is writing his own prescriptions for his own drug use. And then they were just like, okay, just go to rehab and you'll be fine. Just pay us $1,000 and go to rehab and you're fine. You're fine.
Okay.
So he went to rehab in York. 1977, he became a general practitioner at Donnybrook Medical Center.
Okay.
Near Manchester. And then he worked there just through the 80s.
Okay.
Then he began his own surgery at 21 Market Street in 1993.
Okay.
And he was a respected member of the community.
I'm so nervous. I'm
End
so
story.
uncomfortable.
No, I'm just kidding. Also, fun fact, in 1983, there was a documentary called World in Action that talked about mental illness and how it should be treated in the community.
Okay.
And he was actually a part of that. They interviewed him and stuff, and he was on it. And then instead of taking it off the shelves after his conviction, they rebroadcast it.
You're just making me
to make a lot of money.
Uncomfortable. I feel like there's this giant ball, and it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's just gonna drop.
Yeah, you're not ready. You are
not
really
ready.
not ready.
I'm so. Okay, let's go.
So like I said, his mother's death actually ended up incredibly similar to his kills later on.
Okay.
So at the end of her disease, obviously lung cancer is very painful. Mm-hmm. And so they were giving her high doses of morphine.
Yeah.
So you would see the morphine administered.
Okay.
See her pain subside.
Oh no, I think I see where this is going.
Yeah, and just kind of that cycle of her getting the her being in pain, getting the morphine, pain going away, et cetera, until she passed. Mm-hmm. So his mother was actually incredibly domineering.
Okay.
So she wasn't a very nice person, and she instilled a sense of superiority in him, leaving him with no friends, because she was just I don't know. She kind of gave him a sense of our family is the best family, even though his dad was a fucking taxi driver. It doesn't really sound like they were too much of
guys
anything.
Let your kids have friends, please.
Yeah, seriously, let your kids have friends. I'm begging
let
you.
Let them have friends. It's mission essential.
So his victims were pretty much exclusively elderly women. So he was essentially just killing his mother over.
Oh yeah, no, I already see where this is going.
And over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. All of his victims were found fully clothed and usually sitting up. So he was not simulating sex with his mother. Let's just clear that up. There was no sexual component to these crimes.
I mean, that's a first for our
once.
podcast.
Yeah, for once. No one's having sex. No one is.
For
everyone's
once,
penis works properly. There's just.
I'm done.
We just have mommy problems. That's all. So when girls have daddy problems, it's always it's
always cute and
they're
sexy.
a hoe. Guys have mommy problems. It's they
They're
slaughtered 100 people. Guys, go to therapy.
I promise you it will be okay if you just go to therapy.
Stop slaughtering people that you think are your mother. It's weird. Stop it. I hate it.
Oh, I shouldn't be laughing. Okay.
So on top of this, So, okay, so back in like this time period, like there was still like in the city he was in, it was a lot of like he had his own like general practice, but he would do a lot of home visits as well, especially for people who were like elderly and like would
Okay.
have a hard time traveling. Wow, what a nice guy, right?
Right, yeah.
What a nice guy. So he would be reluctant to even try and revive them if they coded.
Oh, seriously?
Like, yeah, like if they coded in front of him, he'd be like, "Oh man, looks like it's the end."
I mean,
Wow, who could do anything?
I mean, okay, I was a vet tech, so maybe it's a little different in human medicine. But if something codes, resuscitate it.
Yeah, he would be like, "Oh,
Oh
no,
my God.
they were suffering. It's just better that they die."
Oh my god.
And so he would also pretend to call 911 if there was relatives around. So he'd be like, "Oh, okay, 911, like, you know, we have someone coding, like, we need you here immediately." No one on the phone at all. Like, or he would, like, go in the other room and pretend to call. And then once they had died, because he did nothing to save them and didn't call emergency services, he would pretend call emergency services back and be like, "Okay, like, you know, we don't need the ambulance, like, they've passed away, like, we're just gonna call the funeral home."
What the ever living fuck?
Yeah, so his first murder was probably in 1971.
Okay.
So one of his patients, she was only 67, and her name was Margaret Thompson. She had had a stroke, so like she was like not in the greatest of health, but she was recovering, and she was making like pretty good recovery.
Okay.
And then she just mysteriously coded, and guess who didn't call emergency services?
Our doctor friend?
Yes, so 80% of his victims were women,
Okay.
and the youngest victim
Victim?
was actually a man. His name was Peter
Oh.
Lewis, and he was 41. But he was like one of like the very few men.
That's random.
I think it was just kind of like I think that one, if I remember right, like he was already coding.
Oh,
so it was kind of
the
just like,
same
I'm
of,
just
like,
gonna
well,
let him
just gonna let
die.
him- Yeah.
And I think, like, okay, to give him like a very tiny amount of credit here
No.
that he does not deserve.
Nope.
I think he really had it in his head because like his mother died at such a young age that like he was doing these people a favor. Because like he genuinely thought that it was better for them to not be suffering from these illnesses, because all of them, even if they were like kind of healthy, all of them had had like some sort of like a heart attack, a stroke. Like there was a reason he was visiting them. And I think he kind of like had this mindset that like he saw his mother pass away and like saw the doctors help
Yeah.
her like ease her pain and like really ease her out of her suffering. And I think he had this kind of idea that he like needed to be the savior of these people, and he was like going to be the one to like end their suffering.
I mean, I have so many mixed emotions about that because, like, you and I have had this conversation before of, like, if something catastrophic happens to me and I can't live without 30,000 machines being hooked up to me, fucking let me go. Like, I don't want that for my life. But that's the difference, is that I have decided that I don't want that for my life. Like, you don't decide that for somebody else.
Right. Now, and I feel that too, because like in my advanced directives, or like when I write them, like I plan to, like it's this, I'm the same way. Like if I'm gonna just like I'm brain dead, or like I'm just hooked up to machines, like
Yeah,
I can't
just
breathe for
let
myself
me
or something,
go.
like I'm done. Like I don't want to do that.
Yeah. But again, that's a decision we've made for ourselves. That's not a doctor being like, well, I'm not going to do anything.
Right. It's the same thing with like organ donation. Like I chose
Yeah.
to be an organ donor, and I chose to say, yes, like you can take my organs. I want to help people.
Yep.
But it's not the same if a doctor's
Not-
just like, all right, gonna
not the
take
same.
all your organs now. Not quite
It's
the
that
same.
whole like bodily autonomy concept that we're struggling with right now.
Oh, wait till you know how
we're-
much we struggle.
We're not circling around. Okay, let's go. Let's move. I'm not ready.
Okay, so we're kind of gonna like skip ahead and then go
Okay.
back.
Okay.
I know you're a fan of that.
Yeah.
So March of 1988, Linda Reynolds of the Donnybrook Surgery. So hold on, let me go back for a second. I think he was still working at Donnybrook at this time. Yeah, because he didn't start his own practice till 1993. So this is when he was working at the Donnybrook Medical Center. Linda Reynolds also worked there, but she was prompted by Deborah Massey, who worked at a funeral parlor.
Okay.
So Deborah was like, we've had a lot of patients come in of Shipman's, like, a lot. So, like, she told the coroner for the South Manchester district, his name was John Pollard, and then Pollard told Linda Reynolds of Donnybrook, because she was kind of like his superior, if I remember right.
Okay.
So, okay. Worked together, coroner, supervisor.
Yeah.
Okay. So they were like really concerned because he had like a high level of cremation. Because like on top of all of this, he would always be like, oh, they should be cremated. Like they don't need an autopsy. Like they're just sick. They should just be cremated. And he actually made that decision. We'll kind of get back to that, but he made that decision for a lot of people.
Okay. I mean...
Yeah, so they actually
I have
brought it to the police.
Yep, I'm uncomfortable.
And like every other fucking case we've ever had, police can't do shit. I'm sure police are wonderful. They do amazing things.
But there are some police departments, looking at you, LAPD, that aren't doing super great when it comes to serial killers.
70s through like the early 90s was just a lawless wasteland.
Seriously, though.
Like actually lawless. Like I feel like there was so much police trying so hard, but like somehow, I mean, I guess a lot of it was like they didn't have like the DNA and like all the stuff they have now, which is super helpful.
But even from like an observatory standpoint, like look at Bundy. Bundy escaped not once, but twice. Like what were y'all doing with your lives?
He just leaped out a window.
Yeah, he leaped out a window and then he crawled up a air vent. Yeah, like, guys, watch your prisoner.
Also, like, wasn't it Bundy? I think it was Bundy who, maybe it was Dahmer. I don't know. But he had, like, a body in the backseat of his car. And he got pulled over by police for, like, speeding or having, like, a headlight out or something. And he managed to talk himself out of having a garbage bag full of a woman's body in his back seat. A woman or a man, I can't remember.
That might have been Dahmer.
I think it was Dahmer, but he had like a body in the back seat in garbage bags, and he was just like, oh yeah, man, dude, like that's just my garbage. I was just taking to the dump, and they're like, it's 2 a.m. And he was like, man, you know, that garbage, it just really stunk. I really had to take
really
it.
Bad and I worked the night shift.
And they were like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. So yeah, not always the best.
Please get your shit together.
Okay, so like I said, they brought it to the police, who couldn't find enough evidence to like do anything.
Okay.
And like, they were really blamed later. I'm pretty sure they were actually sued later because people were like, "That was shitty."
I wonder why.
What the hell?
Oh my god.
So between April 17th of 1988, when the police gave up, and his arrest,
Okay.
he killed. This says 3 more people. That's not true. It was more like 200 more people, but go off. I don't know why I wrote 3. Well, okay, so I don't know. We're not going to get into that yet.
No.
We'll come back to it. Okay, so that was April.
Okay.
Between April and his arrest, he killed 3 more people that he was convicted for.
Okay.
So August of 1988, taxi driver John Shaw.
Okay.
Called police accusing Shipman of murdering 21 of his patients. I have looked extensively. I have read 165 pages of a clinical audit, and I have not found why did John Shaw know this? I don't know the connection. I don't know how he knew he murdered 21 of the patients. Maybe he heard Shipman talking in the back of his taxi. I cannot find any connection. Like, I don't know how he knew this.
Oh, that's weird.
To, like, report it to police. It's like, it's not anywhere.
Huh.
If you find it, let me know.
If you find it.
Because I can't find it.
Yeah, seriously, somebody please look into that while we do this.
Yeah, so his last victim, Kathleen Grundy, was found dead in her home on June 24th of 1998.
Okay.
2 years after my birth. Anyways. So Shipman was the last to see her alive, and he signed her death certificate, which he put down her cause of death as old age.
Okay.
So her daughter was a lawyer.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he really fucked up with this one.
Oh, no.
And there's theories about this, but we'll get into that in a second. Okay. So her daughter, who was a lawyer, got concerned because she was informed that a will had been made by her mother.
Okay.
In this will, all of her daughter and her daughter's children and everybody was excluded, and her entire estate went to Shipman, which was 386,000 pounds. And everybody was like, okay, so yeah, that's fake as shit.
Right. No, I'm sorry, but if you have a whole ass family, you're not leaving your estate to a doctor.
Yeah, they were all like, yeah, that's fake as shit.
Oh my God.
And it wasn't written in her mother's hand. He forced her signature badly. And so her daughter, like, obviously was a lawyer and, like, reported it to the police and was like, this is fake as shit. Like, this didn't happen.
I didn't think I needed to say this, but now I feel like I need to say this. If you kill somebody, don't change their will so that you get everything. Because that's fucking stupid.
Or forge it better.
Or
just forge it better.
No, we're not encouraging.
Okay, no, I'm not encouraging.
Don't
but if you're gonna do it, forge it better.
Our podcast. We don't want to talk about you.
Don't write it in your shitty guy handwriting. We know that it wasn't her.
No, it wasn't shitty guy handwriting. It was shitty doctor handwriting. Because as somebody who has worked with a multitude of doctors, let me tell you that a requirement to get your PhD is to have shit handwriting that nobody can read.
Oh yeah, when I get my dissertation, they told me.
Yeah.
They're like, I know you write neat right now, but by the time you're done with your dissertation, we need this to be worse.
We just need you to throw all of this away.
So her body was exhumed.
Okay.
You're gonna hate this.
No.
But it was found to contain traces of heroin.
Oh.
So
I'm sorry, what?
yeah, so diamorphine, heroin.
Yep.
Same thing.
Know it.
Yeah, see, okay, so sometimes, I didn't actually know this, but I did quite a bit of research after I, like, found this case, and, like, it's a thing, apparently.
Okay.
So apparently for, like, really terminal patients who, like, it's like, yeah, they're fucked. They're in unbearable pain. They're not going to survive this. They'll actually give them heroin because it's such an effective
it's
drug.
It's an assisted suicide, and it's legal in some states. But
Well, I mean, they can also give it to them, like, in not killing them doses. Yeah,
pain.
like little bits. Because it's
Gotcha.
like way stronger than regular morphine. And it's also
took
way
that.
cheaper.
I took that way farther than you did. Sorry.
Oh yeah, but no, you're not wrong.
Yeah,
Like it
yeah,
also
yeah.
is one of the main drugs that they use for assisted suicide as well. So Shipman tried to say that she was just an addict, like she was just like buying heroin on the streets, kind of a thing.
Okay.
And so he said that he had recorded. God, he's so dumb. He said that he had like recorded this. Like he was like, I've been her doctor for a while. Like I knew she was an addict. Like we were trying to work through it. However, looking at you guys, learn how to use fucking computers, guys.
Wait, do you say that?
When he put it in the records, right? He went back later and was like, okay, past dates, like she was a heroin addict. The program in the computer kept the dates that you edit shit, like most fucking computer programs. So they were like, you dumbass. Like we saw you literally
dumbass.
just added this. Like we can see that.
Serial killers are usually so smart and so meticulous, but this guy's really not the brightest crane in the box.
He's really not. It's funny though because like some of them are so like they're so intelligent, but then they'll get caught on like the little like dumbest things. Because I think once they get like this is actually like not just me making this up, like this is like a thing.
No,
like
it's a common
as far
thing.
as they go, like when they get farther and farther and like they've been so successful, they start to like get out of control, they get cocky, they get confident, and they like really let go, de-evolve. That's the word I was looking for. They start de-evolving. And so that's, I kind of feel like what he did because he was doing okay. Letting it slide. Okay. But yeah. So people think though, like there's a couple of theories like why he forged the will because that was the only person he ever forged a will for. Like this never happened again. Well, I mean, that was the last person, but it had never happened previously to this.
Right.
So there's like a theory that he wanted to like retire at 55 and like leave the country.
So he was just trying to like
Get a big sum of money and he can just kind of like get out. But like, I mean, he was a doctor who ran his own practice. Okay, first of all, I forgot to mention this. He was the only person who worked at this practice, which is very uncommon.
Yeah, that's super weird.
Like, can you imagine your doctor's office, but there's one doctor? Like, there's no one else there. And
Like, everybody wants to bitch about wait times. Could you imagine that one?
yeah, and so not only was there one doctor, but like actually after this like was done, like they actually outlawed that. Like in England, like you cannot have single
Gee, I
doctor
wonder
practices.
Maybe
Actually,
it's because you need somebody to check and make sure you're not killing people.
this case changed a lot of laws in England.
Oh, really?
Like a lot. So yeah, so there's a book called Prescription for Murder.
Okay.
Like I said, I read that clinical audit, so I wasn't about to read a whole nother book about this. But that book goes into a lot of like the theories of why, because there also was another theory that like he wanted to get caught.
Okay.
Like he was kind of like at the end of his rope.
Yeah.
Which I mean I can kind of see because he had like several like close slides in the past. Like he was really close to getting caught like several times, and I think he couldn't stop himself, but he knew that he was going to get caught.
Okay.
So I don't really know. Honestly, I kind of think he was just greedy, and I think he
Yeah.
just kind of felt invincible because when we get to the actual body count, you'll understand why he felt invincible.
Okay. Oh my god.
So he was arrested on September 7th of 1998, and at his house they found the typewriter that he wrote the fake will on. Which, in case you didn't know this, don't write things on typewriters, like actual typewriters, because
It imprints, doesn't it?
well, not only that, but they're like identifiable. Because usually, like each one, like they're not perfect. It's not like computers or whatever. Like each one has like little certain flaws
Like
on specific
quirks.
keys, yeah, and like little quirks. So like it's pretty easy for them to just take it, type the letter, and then compare the two.
Dumb asses.
Oh, I know. So then obviously they were like, I think we need to look into the other deaths. Like
Yeah.
this might be weird. And then they found a pattern. And that pattern was just injecting shit tons of heroin
Okay.
into elderly women
Yikes.
and then not reviving them, like I said, and then falsifying their records to say that they'd been unhealthy when most of them were actually. It was like kind of a mix. It seems like it was kind of half and half, like reading the audit. Like half of them had a stroke, heart attack,
Yeah.
something. And then he kind of used that as an excuse. And the other half were just healthy.
Okay.
And he just injected them with tons of heroin. So,
That's oh, God.
so his trial began October 5th of 1999. And he was only charged with 15 murders. And then also forging the will.
Okay.
And they only charged him with crimes between 1995 and 1998. I don't know if you remember, but his first suspected crime was back in 1971.
Yep. There's that ball that I was waiting for it to drop. There it was.
Yeah. So January 31st of 2000, not that long ago, the jury deliberated for 6 days.
What?
6 days somehow.
How?
I have no idea.
I feel like that should have just been like nope, done.
Yeah, so after 6 days, they found him guilty on 15 counts of murder and 1 of fraud. And they just, okay, so like on the stand, he would just lie
Okay.
constantly. Like one day they'd be like, what did you do? And he'd be like, I did this, this, and this. And the next day they'd be like, what did you do? And he'd be like, I did this, this, and this. And you're like, you said something completely different yesterday. And he'd be like, like he just did not care. Like he gave 0 fucks. Like he was just like, make up whatever story I feel like at the moment. Doesn't matter.
What a jackass.
So not only did they find him guilty of 15 counts of murder and 1 of fraud, they literally put in like a thing, and it was like, we have a recommendation that he's never released,
Okay.
which is like not that common.
Yeah.
Because usually that's up to like the judge to be like, I
they'll
don't think.
usually like let you parole after like a couple days.
Yeah, no, they put in like a special piece of paper that were like, we wrote this letter about like how he should never, ever, ever,
Never,
ever be in the public again.
ever. Yeah.
So February 11th of 2000, the General Medical Council officially took him off their register. So he killed his first victim in 1971,
Okay.
if not earlier. They did not take him off of their medical register until February 11th of 2000.
Oh my God.
This is after a drug addiction,
Yeah.
forging prescriptions,
Yep. 15 murder counts
and like being
a
brought to the
forgery count.
police several times
Yeah.
in this time span.
England, get your shit together.
Yeah, so the Home Secretary, which is like kind of a big guy in Parliament, he officially approved the like never getting out thing. He gave that a big ol' seal of approval. So they were like, we're not going to try him for the other crimes.
Okay.
Because like, what's the point?
Right,
Like,
I
he's
mean,
never
he's
getting
never
out
getting out.
anyways. So Shimon denied his guilt, even though they were like, we have all of the evidence.
Yeah.
Like, you are a doctor. We have all of the scientific evidence that you did this. And he's like,
Oh, well.
big old shruggaroo. Like, I don't
my-
care. So he never, ever, not once,
what?
ever made a public statement. He has never said anything. He's always denied it. And his wife has always maintained his innocence.
What a pretentious asshole, for starters. And, like, I will never understand the psychology of women that stick with serial killers. Like, I know we've talked about this multiple times, but just because we've talked about it and researched it does not mean I'm ever going to understand why people will, like, look at their significant other and be like, you know, they have all of this proof that you are a shit human being, but you know what? I'm going to stick with you. Like, what?
Yeah,
No.
I don't
Get out of there.
understand. So he was actually the only doctor in the entire history of British medicine that's ever been found killing their patients. Ever.
Okay.
The only one.
I mean, I feel like that can go one of two ways. Like, either England strapped the fuck down and nobody can get away with it now, or he's just the only one that got caught.
I specifically wrote, that's so funny that you say that, because I specifically wrote, where did it go? It says, this isn't an Americans are so much worse thing, but the British system fucking sucks thing.
We are two people with the same brain.
Okay, so his death. He died
Oh, good.
January 13th of 2004. Almost a birthday twin and a death twin.
You're not dead yet.
Well-
Let's just point that out.
It's a death birthday
I got
twin.
you.
Yeah, close enough. So it was in the Wakefield prison,
Okay.
in his cell at 6:20 a.m. is when he was declared dead.
Was he stabbed? Please tell me he was stabbed. Damn it.
Try again.
He had a heart attack.
Try again.
Strangled?
You were really close. He hung himself from his cell window with bed sheets.
Oh. Okay.
It's still a throat thing. You were close. It's technically strangulation. Technically.
We're going to hell.
So the victims' families were
Yikes.
pissed, understandably, because they were like,
Yeah.
that's bullshit.
I mean,
you
they
were supposed to
probably
be life in
wanted him-
prison and
yeah.
you fucking killed yourself. Because it was
mean-
literally
I get that.
like four years
Yeah.
after.
Are you shitting me?
Yeah, it was just like he was only 4 years into his term when he hung himself. And
That's such garbage.
yeah, so the victims' families like wrote petitions to like improve mental health help in prisons. Which,
I mean,
funny enough,
yes,
like
but no.
I support it, but like I don't know if I was mad that he killed himself. I don't think I would have been like, I think I
gonna
wanted
say-
him to get therapy and feel better.
I support it, but I feel like they're supporting it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. So then they also petitioned to change whole life sentencing, which is what he got,
Okay.
to call this thing called indefinite sentencing,
Oh.
where you just like, you never know when you might be released, because
Okay.
then it gives, this is actually really fucked up in like a weird sense of the way. They changed it to indefinite sentencing because it gives prisoners hope that they might eventually get released.
So they don't kill themselves.
So they don't kill themselves, but they're never going to get released. So it's like a fucked up way to like force them into serving out their whole term. It's not like anything to do with actually helping them or
I
their
have-
mental health.
A lot of mixed emotions about that.
As someone whose
Oh.
main focus and dissertation is literally on mental health
Yeah.
for inmates, I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it. Like, you should never be tricking someone into mental health help for to like punish them.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many layers of fucked up in that.
I hate that.
I
That's-
still don't even know how to dissect that, and I've like obviously studied this
Yeah.
pretty extensively. So
Wow.
they actually, his suicide was never explained. Like, he
Okay.
never left a note. No one really knows why he did it. But he did tell his probation officer. It's weird that he had a probation officer, but he was like in prison.
Yeah, that's a weird.
But I think it kind of like, looking into it, it's kind of like it sounds like kind of like a probation officer here, but like you're in prison. So like it's someone you check in with periodically that kind of like.
That makes it sound like more of like a social worker.
Yeah, that's kind of what it seemed like from what I was reading.
That's interesting.
That he told his probation officer anyways that it was to secure his wife's financial security because, okay, so if he would have lived past 60, they would have taken all of his pension. Like there's like this weird like law, but if he would have lived past 60, they would have taken his pension. About. So he killed himself early. So supposedly
so that his wife could. And
because he had a very sizable pension. I mean, he owned his own general practice for like 10, 15 years.
I mean, good on you for looking out for your wife, but you're still a garbage human being.
But I don't know if I believe that. I think that might have played a role in it, but Primrose seemed to be doubting his innocence by this point. Because she wrote him a letter. Okay, so he like refused to confess. Like even after he was in prison, like they were still pressing him to confess.
Okay.
And he was like, no. So they took away all his phone privileges. So he had no way to like speak to his wife anymore because they took away his phone and like his like visiting privileges.
Yeah.
But Primrose sent him a letter and it pretty much just said, tell me everything no matter what.
Okay.
And that's the last correspondence we know.
So maybe he was like paying her off to believe in his innocence?
I actually think he genuinely cared about her. Yeah. I think he genuinely I think the financial security had a lot of it and I think he couldn't face because in his mind he was helping these people.
Yeah.
He was not hurting them, he was helping them. But like obviously his wife wouldn't see it that way. She'd be like, yeah, you murdered a fuck ton of people. Like so I think it was kind of a way for him to like maintain his innocence to the end.
Yeah.
And also help her.
I wish he had gotten like in prison psychiatry because I just want to be like, I want the documentation of that. Like I want to know what was going on in his head.
Also, this is a little side note, but this could also play into why he killed himself. I don't know if you know this because like weirdly, a lot of people don't know this.
Okay.
It costs money to be in prison.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so like they're constantly like, they charge you for like the food, the board and everything. And like they take that. They have to from your money.
Yeah, you have to like repay it back to them or something.
Like you're supposed to be paying and like it's actually advantageous like if you know you're going to go to prison, I didn't tell you this, you didn't hear this from me, to gift all of your money to someone you trust to keep it safe because then they can't touch it.
Oh.
And they can't, because, okay, so if you don't have money, like, they're not going to put you in debt.
Right.
Like, if you don't have money, you just don't have money. Like, that's fine. Like, you're never going to have to pay that back. But if you do have money, they'll take everything you have.
Oh.
So it's actually really advantageous to, like get rid of all of your money before you go to prison. Huh. So it could also be, like, they were taking a lot of money from him and from their family.
Yeah, so he was like trying to...
Because after 4 years, like, that would already be a significant amount of money. So he was like... Dunzo.
Huh, that's really interesting.
So in January of 2001, they did further investigation because they were like, okay, I get it. Like, we're not going to try him, but like, we need to know what happened.
Yeah.
So they launched a thing called the shipment inquiry, which is essentially what I read was the clinical audit. Yeah. So they concluded, are you ready for this?
Yep. Nope. Yep.
He had killed at least 215 people over his career.
Shut the fuck up.
On the low end. That's like the lowest bare estimate is that he killed 215 people.
I'm sorry, what?
And the judge even publicly admitted at his sentencing that there were scores more deaths that were suspicious. That they just couldn't 100% prove. Those are the ones they could 100% prove. Like, there was, like, a ton more. There's an estimate... an estimation that the accurate number is 459.
What?
Yeah.
I think you just put me into a state of shock. I don't even know what to say.
Which, to be fair, each year he did have actually way more patients than an average doctor, and he did see about 3,000 patients a year. So, to be fair, from all the patients he was seeing, that's actually a very low number of patients.
That's not, but, you don't get to justify this at all. That's so insane.
Oh, it's not. We're not done.
We're not done?
No.
We're gonna...
So in 2005, it came to the attention of the police, by Primrose, actually, that Shipman had stole jewelry from families of the victims. What? She found over 10,000 pounds worth of jewelry that wasn't hers, that she was like, she like had found it. I think it was like in the attic or something. It was like sequestered away where she wouldn't like find it kind of a thing. And she found it and she immediately was like, this is not mine. And she took it immediately to the police because she's an actual good citizen. And they returned, it was kind of nice actually. So they returned the jewelry that they could identify, which actually wasn't a lot because it was kind of dumb. It made sense. Like they required the families to like provide evidence. So like either receipts or like pictures of them wearing the jewelry.
Yeah.
Which like I know for me, I have like no pictures of me wearing any of my jewelry. So like I would have been screwed. But like the rest of it they auctioned off and it went to like if I remember it went to like helping the victims' families.
Oh, okay.
So like they still did good things with the jewelry. So like obviously this changed the way that like British doctor policies worked. They started like changing the way they prescribed pain meds.
Okay.
Obviously, so not only could doctors not abuse it as much, but like patients couldn't abuse it as much. So like that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Like I said, they also made it where you can't have single doctor practices, which also a good thing. And they also changed the way that they did death certificate practices. So like you had to have like more evidence, like more people had to check out the body. Like it wasn't just one doctor being like, yep, this is what happened. Go cremate that body real quick.
Right.
So before I get into what happened to his body.
Oh my God. How are we not done yet?
Yeah, he had a lot. Okay.
Stop.
So this is just a little excerpt from his like clinical audit.
Okay.
So he actually, over the course of his career, he issued 521 death certificates.
Okay.
So the highest number issued by a practitioner in that time period, like the highest person they could find in England, was only 210.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So yeah, it was rough. It was a lot. And all of them were okay, so the greatest was females aged 75 or above.
Okay.
Second highest was females 65 to 74.
Okay.
And then the third highest was males above 75. So it was pretty much like...
Yeah, I mean, kind of the same MO.
Yeah, and then they said, like, you know, the most was when he was a general practitioner. So back to his body real fast. We're almost done, I promise. No one knows where it is.
I'm sorry, you fucking what?
No one knows.
Do you want to run that by me again?
Some think it's in the Sheffield morgue. Some think that his family still has custody because they think he was actually murdered and they wanted to do tests. But yeah, no one has any idea. Like the family's never come forward and said they had it.
This is like Sister Union all over again.
Which Primrose seems like a pretty, like a good citizen. So I feel like if she had his body,
she would have said something.
Like she would have been like, yeah, we were, you know, holding on to it. So like he was never buried as far as we know. So his body might just be chilling in a morgue somewhere, probably pretty fucking desiccated since he died 15 years ago.
Again, I didn't think I needed to say this, but now that this is our second case where the remains have gone missing, I'm going to say this. Lawmakers, policemen, morgues,
chain of custody.
Keep track of your fucking bodies.
Like, I genuinely don't understand.
Losing people's remains.
That was 2004.
Stop.
Like, there's no excuse. That was 2004. That was 15 years ago.
Oh my God.
How do you not know?
Ew, can we talk about how that was 15 years ago?
I know.
I don't
so
appreciate
gross.
that.
And also, is it sad that British policies literally just changed like 15 years ago?
Yeah, that's...
They've been just running like crazy people.
I'm going to circle back to this. And for our You Now friends, if there's anybody from England who's watching, I'm so sorry. This is not a personal attack at you. But England, get your shit together.
Yeah, seriously, what's happening? I'm genuinely confused.
Oh
Please,
my
please tell me what's
God.
happening. Though, to be fair, like I said, no doctor had ever been caught killing their patients. So, like, as far as they were aware,
This wasn't a thing to worry about.
there
yeah.
wasn't a problem. However, I do know for a fact that there is an opioid problem.
I feel like every first world country has an
Ew.
opioid problem right
Yeah,
now.
like, but I know for a fact that there's one in England. So,
Yeah.
like, why were you not doing things to, like, control people?
Right, like, why
abusing,
weren't you
like,
working
pain
on that?
meds? Also, they have never explained, like, no one knows how he got all his, like, diamorphine. Like, no one knows where all the heroin came from. Like, no one knows if it was, like, prescription or if he was,
Mexico.
like, buying it off the streets. But, like, black tar heroin is different than like, diamorphine.
Yeah. I
But,
don't
like,
know.
you think they would be like, he killed, like, possibly 459 people. Like, that's enough that you think people would be like,
Yeah, like, you're going through a weird amount of morphine, dude.
yeah, like, where...
And that...
Especially because, like I said, like, most of these people were, like, in good health.
Right.
So, like, there wasn't an excuse
So
for
there's
him
no
to,
reason
like,
for them
get
to randomly code.
it. Yeah. Like, so they've never explained that. And I, like, read 165 pages and, like, still
And
no one
there's
can
nothing.
tell me what happened. And I'm very confused. And it seems like there's some giant problems there, which
Yeah.
hopefully have been addressed at
This
this
is why,
point.
if you work in a medical field, you have to go through so many channels to get opioids to your patient.
As it should be. As it should be.
Oh my god,
Because I could go on and on about that all day, but
Yeah.
like,
that's insane.
guys, what the hell?
That was a roller coaster.
Yeah, I knew you. I
was not ready.
Get you. But like, he looks so nice.
Yeah, he's such a dapper looking gentleman.
I'm just
Yeah,
gonna
no,
for our
show
you
you
now
now.
people.
Like, he's such a dapper looking gentleman.
Yeah, he's just a friendly old
He was
man.
not a
if,
dapper gentleman. But
if this doctor was like, yeah, you need pain meds, I'd be like,
yeah, no, you're right.
yeah, you're probably right.
Are you finally done?
I'm finally done. I'm done making you suffer.
So
For
then we'll
now.
wrap this up. I mean, you guys know the drill. Social media. Facebook is Bitches and Murders.
So is YouTube. So
is
is Apple
YouTube.
Podcasts. So is Spotify.
Yeah.
So is Patreon.
I will
Please
get-
give us money.
Back to you on what you now is, because like it didn't like the word bitches, and so it like freaked the hell out, and I'm not sure how to find us on you now, but like it looks like people have found us somehow. So it's working.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. We might have to like just change the name or something like BNM.
I tried, but it, like
I was just
yeah,
mad.
we'll figure it out anyway.
We'll figure it out.
Instagram, Bitches and Murders Podcast. Send us an email at bandmurderspodcast@gmail.com.
Twitter is and murders. Just
I think we got all of the social media.
Facebook.
that was all of
Yeah,
it.
we did all of the things. Follow us on all of the things.
All of the things.
Talk to us on all of the things. Be our friends.
Yeah, seriously, we love people for the
Yeah.
most part.
Yeah, I mean, I hate everybody, but like, I love people. It's fine. Be my friend.
If you guys listen to us, we love you guys.
Also-
Everybody outside of that, go fuck yourself.
Important. For real, if you don't listen to us,
Kidding.
also, side note, for Apple and Spotify and also YouTube.
Oh, is this a stupid algorithm thing?
Yeah, so for like the algorithms, and also I think this kind of applies on Facebook as well.
I think so.
Like engagement is what brings you up. So like it doesn't matter. You could listen to us 1,000 times, but like if you don't engage with it, it doesn't matter. So like if you rate,
Yep.
leave us reviews,
Yep.
leave us comments,
Yep.
likes, shares, any sort of engagement.
Do all the
you know
things.
what's up with that. Do it. All of your friends want to hear us too, and you know it.
Yeah.
You know.
Bring us your spooky friends. We love all of them.
Bring us your spooky friends. They'll enjoy this. Let's bring us your non-spooky friends. They'll be terrified, but you know,
we'll make them
I'll still
spooky.
enjoy myself.
So yeah, you guys know the drill. Stay spooky,
Keep it spooky.
but not so spooky that you kill people with heroin. Goodbye.
Yeah, no more heroin. Come on, stop it.